Alright guys, thank you so much for joining me for today's video, and today we're going to discuss my 5,000 mile review of the 2018 Audi Q7. Alright guys, so we're taking a look today at the 2018 Audi Q7. Tire wear on the Q7 looks fine. I know there's been some reports on some of the forums about feathering and things of that nature, but that's mainly been reported on the Goodyear OEM tire, and we're running the Pirellis. So far so good. No issues there with tread wear. Inside the vehicle, I mean, definitely enjoying the additional space that we get with the Q7. The seats are comfortable. We'll talk about that on the other side. I just wish there was more of the thigh extension that was there. I am kind of missing that. Not a deal breaker, but definitely the seats are comfortable, but sometimes just wishing to have a little bit more on the thigh extension for the vehicle. For the rear seats at this rate, definitely this is the main reason for the upgrade, is just having more room in the rear. And this is going to be, or has been, paying off so far with the in-laws, being able to get more people in the car and having that optional third row at this point. As for, just to take a look, just to show, and definitely the car requires premium. It is the 2.0 turbo, 4-liter turbo, and we'll touch on the fuel economy a little bit later. And then inside, I mean, definitely another key reason for the upgrade is just having more room. I kind of took the cargo net that I previously had for the A4 and put it in here, so that functions pretty well. Definitely have to get those clips off and whatnot for using the the third row when I want to, and then have little hooks, I guess, in place for that. The only thing that's kind of lacking in here, and definitely kind of, I don't know if you can see that, but kind of the scratching of that's kind of lame. And then just the lack of kind of like grocery hook sort of situations here. There's only that one kind of grocery hook right there. Kind of hard to make that out, but only that one kind of grocery hook right there going on. And then, as we talked about before, there's no spare tire here, so I have a kit inside that I put together to help try to compensate for that spare tire. And another thing I noticed is that having the window shade up here, that was kind of cool. Didn't notice that before, so try to find a reason to use that. And then another kind of trick to notice here on the Q7, if you get these 10 spokes, is that when washing the car, you'll notice that there will be a little bit of water that will build up right here. It's kind of like kind of hard to demonstrate, but definitely water kind of builds up in this little well area right here. Like in this area, the water will kind of sit there, and you have to kind of get that out of there. So pro tip for that, just to be aware of that when washing the Q7. Inside, definitely, again, all of the space makes the upgrade worth it at this point, having more room. And jumping in the inside here, so again, still with the virtual cockpit, everything is great with that. Some of the Apple CarPlay issues that were happening in the all-road don't happen here, but I guess this has its own kind of different set of issues here. The only kind of software glitchy thing that's happening right now with the Q7 is that there are some situations when you're putting the car in reverse, and let's see if it'll happen now. We start the car here, and then when you have it in reverse, the additional side screen sometimes chooses not to appear. So like in this situation, the side screen here would be, you would see the car, not the actual picture background. So that's kind of one of the software issues going on with that at this point in time. But not a deal breaker, not anything like major at this point, but just something that does happen with the software. And so, but all the Apple CarPlay issues, definitely connecting, reconnecting, all that kind of stuff works really well. There's no interruptions like the last time. So that all functions really well. Still impressed with the virtual cockpit. Definitely still looks really good. Functions really well. As we all know, or hopefully if you do know, that the Google Maps is more than likely going away in 2020. And so like it's probably going to be replaced by Here, which is basically the consortium of the German automakers buying some of the older Nokia mapping assets. So Google Maps is here for now. And another thing to notice, one other thing that I will mention is that so like if you're ended up trading your car, so if you have a current model Audi and you end up trading your car for another Audi, keep in mind that the Audi Connect service is not necessarily defaultly transferable. Like, well, I won't say not transferable. You can transfer it to the new owner, but for you by default cannot transfer it to another car unless you get basically the Audi customer experience people involved, and they can make that transfer. But by default, when you buy the Audi Connect services, they are not transferable, and they're not really meant for they're not transferable to another car, and they're not refundable. That's the main thing. They are not refundable. So keep that in mind with the Audi Connect service, that it's not going to be refundable by default. If you happen to end up buying another Audi vehicle, then more than likely, as they did with me, they probably will work with you to transfer your services to your newer vehicle. But if you trade out of the Audi brand and you have the Audi Connect services, then don't expect a refund unless you probably go really hard against the customer relations people with Audi to do that. So keep that in mind. Pro tip with that. Had to deal with that when trading in the all-road for this and moving over my Connect services, that they're just not an option to do that until I got the customer experience people at Audi involved, and they were able to make that transfer happen for me. But that's definitely a case-by-case basis and definitely not the default option. So keep that in mind. So as we're back in the interior, I mean, all this is really, again, very similar to the all-road. So I very much, you know, enjoy the new step in, step out height. That's definitely very comfortable. You know, the storage options are a little limited at this point. I have my toll tag right there, which I need to probably put in my previous position behind the, usually I mount the toll tags like right behind the registration sticker just to keep it clean and make sure like they're not in the dash, you know, just not in the window anyway. But storage is a little limited. You have that little storage cubby here, and then you kind of have this storage cubby up here. But I mean, not too much. I usually end up putting like my phone right here, and then my keys and wallet over in this area. But I'm definitely enjoying the additional space here in the Q7. And, you know, definitely want to say that, like, unlike, you know, comparing the Q7 and talking about the Q7, like, I don't feel like at this point, driving it so far, there hasn't been any issues with power. Definitely haven't found myself in a situation where, like, oh, I need more power out of the car. Haven't felt that way at this point. So definitely it's been very responsive and more than enough power for me and my needs at this point. I could totally see if I was towing a big boat or something of that nature, then yeah, maybe going with the V6 would have been a better option. But power-wise, definitely after going on these 2 road trips and going back and forth, definitely have not had any issues with the car at this point. And so that has been totally, you know, no issues there. So that is pretty much, for 5,000 miles, pretty uneventful. Has been no issues with the car, nothing requiring servicing or anything like that. Outside of that, I will jump outside of that little scratch on the car that we acquired while we were moving some items, some larger items in and out of the car. But this is definitely going to be the family mobile for now. And then I would say that the plan would be, hopefully, as we go ahead and pay this vehicle off, and then we would look to possibly acquire another vehicle. But that's probably still a ways out before we're able to do so. But something that we're working on or looking into at this point. And so stay tuned for that. That's going to be a little ways out, but we're working on that. But we'll definitely keep bringing you more updates around the Q7. And to anyone definitely out there that's even, you know, if you're looking at the Q7 and you're debating, definitely just test drive them. Test drive them, you know, test drive both models, you know. And I would definitely recommend test driving the, you know, V6 first and then going to the 2-liter. I know that's kind of intuitive, but, you know, I did that, or I just did that, and, you know, I found them to be very similar. And I feel like it actually drives a little better with the 2-liter, only because it's less weight in the front of the vehicle. Probably about 200 pounds less weight compared to the V6 model. The ventilated seats definitely work very well. We're in the, you know, getting into the hot months of Texas at this point, so any additional cooling would be appreciated. So definitely that's a, you know, great option to have with the car. Definitely appreciate that. But yeah, man, that is it. You know, this is going to be our kind of second Q7 video, and we'll figure out, you know, something else to do, like our, you know, 5 favorite things, 5 things that we dislike. Those type of videos will be coming out pretty soon, now that I have a bit more experience with the car. Let's take a look real fast at the fuel economy. Let me get to that screen, and but that doesn't really count. Well, I've been sitting here idling because it's hot. So here's a look at the fuel economy for the vehicle. Now, it's a little low, like definitely compared to what the all-road was doing. But keep in mind, and definitely this is in stop and go Austin traffic. And so there's not a lot of highway miles here. Definitely I was getting stints of, you know, 26 or so mpg when we were doing on the road trips and stuff like that. But in stop and go traffic, it just kills that. And I definitely, in most cases, you know, I have the auto start stop turned off. Like right now it's on just because I just started the car. But usually the first thing I do is start the car and then turn off the auto start stop. But the fuel economy from the beginning of time is only a little under, and this has gone down. This was like 21 before, after my road trips, but we've been in the city at this point, and you know, Austin traffic is just not that good. So there you go. That's kind of the stop and go traffic. I know a lot of people have reported better numbers, but you know, maybe their commutes and things like that are a bit less congested. I'm definitely dealing with a lot more traffic, so I spend more time in stop and go traffic managing that. But yeah, we need to get ready to run to the airport, but that is pretty much it. Another thing I do like about the Q7, and that I haven't really mentioned, is that I like how the steering wheel kind of comes up and down, you know, during your entering and exiting the car. So it's up right now. When I get in and start the car, steering wheel comes down and positions itself. So that's quite a nice touch. Let's take a look here on the back. As I mentioned earlier, I don't know if you can see that a little bit, but kind of just scuffed that a little bit. So it's kind of like not horrible, but not the best. But all right, guys. All right. So to wrap this up, thank you guys for joining me for today's video. I hope you have found this helpful. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments below. And if there's anything you'd like to see about the Audi Q7, definitely let me know in the comments below. And we're so close to 200 subscribers, so let me know if you like this video. Please consider subscribing and giving this video a like. And we'll see you in the next video. Peace.